from Singapore. I study in Wolsey Hall Oxford, doing year 3 and 4. We live near the sea and this makes us enjoy the nature along with my studies. A typical day for me would be studying, playing, swimming, and spending lots of time with my family. I study maths and English from year 4 and geography, science, and computing from year 3.
Hi, my name is Stefania Bojica. I'm 15 years old and I am a tennis player. I compete and travel around the world for ITF tournaments. In this video, I would like to talk about my experience with Wolsey Hall as an online school. So let's get onto it. As an elite tennis player, online school with Wolsey Hall has helped me a lot as it gives me more time for my tennis trainings. It also allows me to travel more often while doing school. When I was in a traditional school, I couldn't have a flexible schedule to provide me with more time for my training and traveling. It was also pretty hard to catch up on my schoolwork that I missed.
Hello, my name is Oliver and I'm 12 years old and I've been studying with Wolsey Hall since September in 2020. When I had an introduction to homeschooling during the first pandemic and the lockdown of schools, I found that I really loved the experience of learning from home. We wondered how we would be able to make this a reality and started to research all of the different homeschooling providers and different methods of learning from home to see which one would work for me and my family. After much searching, we decided on Wolsey Hall and have never looked back.
Hello everyone and welcome to this Wolsey Hall Oxford homeschooling webinar for primary students. We have families joining us from all around the world today and a very big welcome to you all indeed. I'll start off by introducing myself. My name is Josh and I'm the host of today's event. I'm joined here today by a number of colleagues both from our admissions and academic teams who will be answering your questions today. We are recording this webinar and we will send out a link for the recording to all of you via email within 2 business days. You'll be able to rewatch the event and also share it with your family and friends. We are going to give you a short overview of Wolsey Hall Oxford and the way our structured homeschooling works, after which we will move on to a presentation which delves a little deeper into what you can expect when you enrol your child here with us. You are now free to start asking your questions in the Q&A area, which you can find at the bottom of your screens. When typing a question, please be sure to include the age of your child, their level of study, and the country, as this information really helps our team to answer your questions to their best ability. Our aim is to answer all of your questions during our time together this morning. However, if there are any we haven't gotten around to, our learning advisors will be in touch via email tomorrow to follow up with you. Please note, if your question is very unique to your child and your situation where we are unlikely to be able to answer it during today's session. For these types of very specific questions, we recommend you speak to our admissions team to ensure you get the right information you need to make your decision. Please submit an inquiry form via our website, clicking the contact button in the top bar on the right-hand side. Then scroll into the bottom section where it says admissions inquiry form. We have some screenshots coming up in the presentation to show you exactly where you can find it. Thanks again for joining us today, and I hope you enjoyed learning more about homeschooling with Wolsey Hall Oxford. Please play the video.
Welcome to Wolsey Hall Oxford. Today, we'll share how Wolsey Hall can enhance your child's educational experience outside the traditional mainstream school setting. Wolsey Hall Oxford was established in 1894 and has evolved significantly. We offer a comprehensive online educational solution for families, catering to students from 3.5 to 18 years old, as well as mature students seeking to extend their educational journey. We are proud to help students in over 130 countries with their educational pathways leading to careers, universities, and colleges. Our alumni include notable figures such as Nelson Mandela, but we are proud of each student we help on their educational journey. Wolsey Hall Oxford is a registered Cambridge online school, delivering curriculum from Cambridge, one of the leading examination boards globally, and notably, We were the first primary online Cambridge school to be recognised by the board. This affiliation makes us part of a family of over 10,000 Cambridge schools worldwide. Each year, thousands of IGCSE and A-level candidates take their external examinations through the Cambridge Exam Board, leading to globally recognised qualifications. Additionally, we are a recognised Pearson edXcel Centre, offering a selection of subjects from Pearson edXcel, another globally recognised examination board. What makes Wolsey Hall Oxford unique is our individualised approach to each child. We provide personalised learning pathways for homeschoolers, allowing each student to create a bespoke portfolio of subjects and progress at a pace that is suitable for them in a truly personal learning journey. We offer structured, planned curricula, so you can choose the subjects you wish to study, knowing that you will be provided with appropriate resources to challenge and extend your child's learning at home with access to our outstanding support. We seek to establish a strong partnership with our families to support both academics and the learning journey. We offer flexibility not only in the subjects your child studies, but also when you start the courses, as you can pick an access date that suits you and your child's study plans. We also offer placement flexibility, allowing you to choose the level of study that suits your child's current learning level. For example, a student may be studying Year 6 English alongside Year 7 Maths. Our admissions team is happy to discuss different study options so that you can create your child's unique learning journey with us. To help you understand where your child might fit in, let's outline the different phases of Wolsey Hall Oxford. We begin with lower primary, which includes getting ready for Year 1 and Years 1 and 2, usually suited to children from age 3.5 to 7 years old, followed by the upper primary phase, which includes Years 3, 4, 5 and 6, usually suited to children from 7 to 11 years old. Next is lower secondary, which includes Years 7, 8 and 9, and typically studied from 11 years old to 14 years old, followed by the examination phases of GCSE and IGCSE, usually studied from 14 years old to 16 years old. And finally, A-levels, usually studied from 16 years old to 18 years old. Each primary and lower secondary course is studied for up to 12 months and represents one academic year of study, following both the English National Curriculum and Cambridge Curriculum, where applicable. IGCSE and A-level courses are studied over 2 years and represent 2 academic years of study, following either Cambridge or Pearson edXcel specifications as appropriate. Both IGCSE and A-levels are internationally recognised qualifications. All our courses are hosted on our learning platform Canvas, which is secure and user-friendly. Each child enrolls on their courses as an individual, giving them control over their pace of learning and study schedule. In primary, the courses are parent-led, while in secondary, they are directed to the student, promoting autonomy and independence. Our structured, easy-to-follow courses include assignments and activities, blending online and offline learning, and resources like textbooks and subscriptions. We don't have online lessons, providing freedom and flexibility for families to set their own timetables. Videos scaffold learning, allowing students to work at their own pace. If you are interested in viewing the range of subjects available and samples of each course, please visit our website. Tutors and student progress managers provide support for families. Our UK qualified teachers mark assignments, give valuable feedback, and provide the next steps in learning. Your tutor is also available via messaging on our learning platform to support you when needed. Your Student Progress Manager offers key support to the family and will be in touch with you on a regular basis. They will create an assignment schedule, monitor learning progress in all subjects, and be available for queries from parents and students. We also provide additional paid-for support services, including learning support and well-being, and a careers and university advisory service. Wolsey Hall Oxford is committed to providing a holistic education, and as such, we also offer extracurricular activities and clubs through the online Wolsey Hall community area, the online secondary forum, as well as maintaining active parent groups and newsletters. We hope you found this information helpful. Our admissions team look forward to discussing your child and their unique, personalised learning pathway with Wolsey Hall Oxford.
Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Jo Ryman. I'm one of the supervisor of courses here at Wolsey Hall Oxford. I'm joined by my colleague Charlotte, who we're going to do a joint presentation to reiterate some of the points from the video that you've already just seen. So I want to start with just putting the context of the learning phases. And as you can see, Wolsey Hall offers a complete education from the early years, from students aged 3.5 to 4 years old, right up until 18 years old. And some families stay with us for their entire journey. Others maybe just stay with us for different portions of their journey, depending on their family circumstances. So the phases that we have briefly looked at in the video begins with the getting ready for year 1 phase, and that's for students 3.5 to 4 years old. That's followed by the lower primary phase, and that's for students typically aged 5 to 7 years old. This is followed by the upper primary phase for students who were typically aged 7 to 11, and that covers years 3, 4, 5 and 6. And then followed by the lower secondary phase, which is typically students aged 11 to 14 years old, and that covers years 7, 8 and 9. Now, the reason that I outline those first are that if you have already been to our website, you may be familiar with the fact that they represent 1 academic year of study. So if you've seen the fee calculator, which is a very useful tool on our website, you would be able to see the fees for one of those particular year groups. And as outlined there, we'll talk about the number of subjects a little more in a moment, but that gives you just a simple guide for the number of subjects that you may be interested in. Following lower secondary is the examination years, and these are GCSE, IGCSE for years 10 and 11, students typically 14 to 16 years old here. And again, the number of subjects there gives an approximation depending on your family's circumstances. That's followed by the A-level phase for students aged typically 16 to 18 years old. And that is subjects, 3 to 4 subjects, depending on the number of subjects that your child is capable of studying. And our admissions team are very experienced in helping you to select the correct year group and to the number of subjects, the correct number of subjects for your family circumstances. We offer some level placement checks for you to be able to assess where your student is, make sure that they are on the right course. So the bottom phases there, they are 2 years of academic study. So if you use the fee calculator there, just for your reference for future, then that would be for 2 years of fees. So you can see that Wolsey Hall offers the complete education if that's what you're looking for. So next, I'd like to look at the courses that Wolsey Hall offers. Oh, beg your pardon. How our courses work. So, our courses work whether you are the same, whether you're 3 years old or 18 years old, they work in a similar format. So, tasks are on our learning platform, which is password protected, Canvas we use, and all courses are parent led at primary level. So there are tasks, activities, maybe supported by textbooks or real books, which we would ship out to you. We're very mindful that we like students to have off and online experiences. We wouldn't want students to be in front of a computer for the whole day. And as you saw, there are no live lessons. So our courses are parent-led, parent-supported, and I'll talk about that a little further in a moment. So the tasks, activities are presented on Canvas, and they often have quizzes within them to make sure that you can just check how your student is learning. Perhaps that would indicate some areas that they may need to revisit. As I say, we like a balance of on and offline activities, some subscriptions perhaps. If your child is a younger student at Wolsey Hall, there may be a phonics programme to practice, or perhaps times tables, number bonds, that sort of thing. Older students may have spelling app or instant feedback for maths, but again, this would be balanced with some offline learning as well. There may be videos on the course in order to teach new concepts, perhaps, or to help you understand pronunciation in phonics, but this wouldn't be throughout every single day. Each day has a slightly different format depending on what's being taught that day. And I would heavily encourage you to visit our website to be able to look through the sample courses and understand exactly what's provided. On the sample courses, there is 1 week of activities for you to try with your student. It will have all of the resources that you need, and parents often report that that's a really useful way of understanding what Wolsey Hall gives as the support to teach your child. We've written courses for parents. We know you're not teachers, so we've written courses for parents to be able to navigate through and support their child. So the courses don't disappear on Canvas just because you finished that lesson. They stay, and so you're able to revisit any concept that you might need to. If you feel like something was slightly tricky for your child, then perhaps a few weeks later, you might want to go back, revisit, just to reinforce and check understanding. So once a block of work has been completed, usually 3 to 4 weeks, depending on the age of your student and the subject that you're studying, then we would set an assignment. And that assignment is a check-in. It's not a timed or a silent assessment that you can't help your child, but it's a check-in. So that would be printed off at home or perhaps recorded at home, depending on the age of your child, and submitted on the learning platform for your tutor to mark. Your tutor will always give positive feedback so that you can share that, celebrate successes with your child, and then perhaps give you some points to consider, points for next steps, so that you know where to head next. And following that, we would offer a video call to review progress. So that happens every 3rd or 4th week, approximately, depending on the age of your child, in every subject that you study with Wolsey Hall. So that should give you the reassurance that you're not alone. It's definitely a partnership between parents and Wolsey Hall to support your child through their education. So that cycle repeats itself, and here are some of the subjects that are available. So lower primary courses, you can see in blue there, the darker blue on the left-hand side, the Getting Ready for Year 1 courses that are available. And they are for the youngest children, 3.5 to 4 years old. The green subjects there we consider are the core subjects. So English, maths, science, computing are the core subjects that we would suggest, but we talk about subject choices in a moment there. And then there's a number of other subjects, we call them foundation subjects, that you may wish to study. So on to upper primary courses. There again, we have English, Maths, Science in green as they are the core subjects. We also offer English as a second language for those students slightly older who might be trying English for their first time, or perhaps that they're just getting to grips with aspects of English. And we offer speaking and listening courses throughout all of the phases of the upper and the lower primary phases there. The foundation subjects there are in blue, and we will have Spanish available from September. So that gives you a good selection and a good understanding of the number of courses. And again, I reiterate, if you go to the website, you'll be able to find sample courses to try a week of lessons for each of those subjects. So let's move on then to subject choices and understand that a little bit further. So subject choices are up to the family. We would have an admissions call with families to understand your family circumstances and give the best advice accordingly. So a student can take as many subjects as they wish. Some families use Wolsey Hall as supplementary education, perhaps only studying one subject alongside their mainstream school studies, whereas other families want a more complete education, and so again this advice would be different from family to family. We do recommend core subjects as a minimum if you're studying with Wolsey Hall as your complete education, and that is 3+ subjects for lower primary or 5+ subjects for upper primary is typically what's the number of subjects that families and students study with us at those phases. But of course, how many subjects you're interested in is really determined by your family's circumstances. Often on admissions calls, families might share with us they're having music lessons locally, or perhaps they're learning a language locally. So of course, they wouldn't need to be taking those. But that's why we are very keen that we have a discussion with you to understand your circumstances and give our best advice. And you can add courses on at any time. So families may start with just the core subjects, perhaps hoping to get into the rhythm, build a good learning pattern, and then they feel that they're confident with the courses and they'd like to offer more subjects to their child. So you can add subjects on at any time. So let's have a look at choosing a year group in a little bit more detail now. So your child would generally start in their age appropriate year group. And again, admissions team are very experienced at advising on this. But some families come to us and say, oh, we're not so sure how our students should be, where they should start. So we offer level placement checks. We might offer a checklist. We might ask for some reading samples, some written samples to have a look and understand where your student is. Some families have been attending a Cambridge school elsewhere, and it's a simple transfer over to us. So that's also can be accommodated too. But in some instances, a child may start a different year group in different subjects because perhaps they're stronger in one subject compared to another. And again, our admissions team would be delighted to give further advice there. As I say, we have level placement checks. The course samples have some checklists on to give you a good indication. So before the admissions call, you're very welcome to look at those and look at the indication to see if you can understand more fully which year group equates to your student's ability. And we have a 45 days policy in which you can switch course levels. So if you find the course is too easy or too hard for your student, then you are able to switch levels within 45 days for the cost of new textbooks. So that gives you the flexibility to be able to move according to your student's needs. So I'm going to pass to my colleague Charlotte now, who is going to lead the next part of the presentation.
Thank you so much, Jo, and a big welcome again to everyone that's joined us today. It's always lovely to do this, and we look forward to hopefully meeting you in due course if you join Wolsey Hall. So I'm going to look a little bit more about the support that we give. I'm the manager of student support for primary, and so this is something that's very close to my heart. Now, the role of the parent is really pivotal in our courses, and that's because we've designed them to be so flexible. You can do them at any time, so it becomes very important for you as the parent to set a structure, to build a routine that works for your family. And we give you lots of advice about, things that work and things that don't work as well. But we'd advise you in advance to put some time and thought into how you want to structure your day, how you're going to structure a workspace in order to support your child, and know that you're going to be needed as a parent there to sit with your child and to encourage them through their lessons and to help them move through the activities as you go along. So that's, like I say, that's something we can give you more advice on, and we have a whole extra free course that is on our Canvas platform just to give you top tips and things as well, but just want to highlight that here. Let's move on to support for families that we give. We've got sort of twofold parallel lines of support, if you like, that we give for families, for all students at Wolsey Hall. And this is for primary and for secondary, but even though we're just looking at primary particularly today, that does carry on in the upper end of the school. So your student progress manager is probably going to be the first person that you meet, and they are a welcoming, committed individual who is going to be really interested in finding out about you and your family and what has brought you here, what's going to be helpful in your journey. We'll be there to answer any questions if you've got concerns, or maybe you've got some things that you'd like to share about things that have been difficult in the past and that you really want to change and get right in this new chapter. And they'll help advise you and tailor your program so that it works for you. One of the things that they'll do to help with that is create an assignment schedule for your student or for your students, depending on how many children you have joining us. And they'll assist with monitoring that through the year. That's really just so that you can stay on track and know how much time you've still got to complete subjects, and to give some guidance along the way. Maybe you need some help submitting the assignment. These are things that come up quite regularly in the first few weeks, and then once the ball is rolling, so to speak, you'll find those sorts of things, but much very easy, hopefully. The second parallel support structure that we've got is the UK qualified tutors. You have a tutor allocated for each subject. In primary, you'll very possibly have a tutor that will be doing more than one subject with you, but you may end up with 2 or 3 different tutors depending on how many subjects you're doing. So for example, you might have a tutor who is looking after you for English and maths, and then you might have another tutor that is supporting you with geography, history and French, for example, and that would be quite a normal arrangement. They're there to mark your assignments. In primary, they will offer you a call after each assignment to talk through any feedback. Those aren't required calls, but they are calls that we encourage you to have at this stage in order that the child that you're sitting with is able to see the tutor and have some of that very personal feedback given to them to encourage them and know that somebody else is really involved in their learning and thinking about them as well. They're online, and you're able to message them through our Canvas platform as well. That has its own inbox. So if you've got any questions as a parent along the way, then you can reach out, and that's they're there for you in that. So let's talk about monitoring progress a little bit more. So once assignments have been submitted, the reason assignments are so important, by the way, is so that we can see your child's work and so that we can give this really positive feedback. Because obviously, if we don't see the work, then we don't have anything that we can comment on. So the progress is monitored through the assignments that you submit for each subject, and the feedback, it's one of the things that parents comment on so often, is really well structured, very, very positive. It'll have top tips for for next learning suggestions, as well as real commendation on the things that your child's got right. And yeah, that it tends to be a very lovely thing to read. Even from as a student progress manager, we love seeing the comments that the tutors are passing back to the students. And then your student progress manager will often be in touch to recognize the achievements of your child. So if we move on to recognition of study, you can see here that there are various different certificates that we give out at primary. We love giving certificates at primary. And so we're going to be looking for lots of opportunities to really highlight the success of your student along the way, their determination, their commitment to learning. And we also sometimes give them out for other things that you tell us about. So you might want to be in touch with your student progress manager and say, they've really achieved in another area of their lives, and we'd just love you to know about it. And here's a photo of them completing a race on a horse. I'm just picking a very random thing here. And sometimes we send out certificates for that as well, because we really want to embrace their whole of their learning and know that they've also got a sort of much wider world of things going on in their lives as well. So please do know that we're interested in things just beyond just Wolsey Hall too. So on that sort of theme, one of the one of the things that parents often ask us at Wolsey Hall is, how is it going to work for my child's socialising? And it's a question that always makes me smile, because I know that 2 or 3 months down the line, they'll come back and say, oh, I never knew that we would open up so many opportunities for socializing and for community, because we now have the time to do it, and we now have the availability to really be involved in the things that we want to be involved in. So in order to support that, you'll probably have some things in your locality that you want to be part of, and we'd encourage you to do those face-to-face activities as well, if that's something you've already got going, or find new ones. But we also have an online student community that we're very proud of, and that means what we've got is a number of different clubs at primary level, and they're all extracurricular, they're all free, and they're there to help you have some other interaction that's really for fun, but also does support learning. So for example, we've got a lovely art club. There's a different activity that's set every month, and some guidance about how to do it, or different things that you might consider. You don't have to be studying art with us to do it. You can just go to the club, but it might also, if you are studying art, support the work that you're doing in that subject. And then there's a show and tell each month as well, with one of our lovely tutors, and Alice, and you get to come and bring the work that you did for that particular activity and share it with Alice and with the other students that come to the show and tell. It's no need to sometimes students get very nervous about speaking online or things in groups until they've really got to know people. So there's no requirement other than to just be present and show up. And that's just one example of our clubs. There's also library. We've got an online library, and there's a plethora of different books in there, some of which you will use for your English course perhaps, and then others that you just may want to use for reading. So lots and lots of those are just a couple that I've identified there, but please know that there is that kind of community side of things at Wolsey Hall as well. So moving on to additional support for families, we've got 3 other areas that are relevant. One in particular is relevant at primary. The other 2 are more particularly there for secondary, but I will also mention them. So our learning support and wellbeing service is not something you will necessarily come into contact with unless you ask for that kind of advice and support. But we do have on Canvas, you will be added to a free course for learning support and wellbeing, and that will give you some very generic advice, good advice, but generic advice that might help with different areas. It might be to do with concentration, or it might be to do with a particular learning need that your child has. And you can look through and find what works for you and what might be helpful for you to have a bit more information about. We also have a team of very well trained learning support advisors, and they are able to have paid sessions with you if you would like to, if you feel that having some additional support for your child or for you as a parent to guide your child would be useful. And that's something that you can get some more information from your student progress manager in due course, or from the admissions team. They'll be happy to give you a bit more information about that. There's also listed here on this slide the Career and University Advisory Service and the Reference Service, and I just want to make you aware of those, because if, for example, your student is moving on and they need paperwork for another school, or they're moving up through the levels and doing exam levels with us, just want you to know that we have a support system in place for those as well, to reassure you if you're looking for a holistic long-term school to be part of online. We're now going to, that's all for me. I'm going to pass over to back to Josh for our Q&A session, and please do ask any questions that you would like. Thank you, Josh.
Yeah, thanks very much, Charlotte, and thank you to you as well, Joe. That was a wonderful presentation, and I hope you found it very helpful. And that's given you a good overview of Wolsey Hall Oxford and how everything works. Our team have been busy answering your questions during the presentation, and we're now going to have a chat and expand on any that have already been answered, or maybe cover some that our team haven't gotten around to yet. So I just wanted to pick up on the first one that I thought would be a good starting point, Charlotte, and I was wondering if you'd take the lead on this one. Can my child join from a mainstream school at any point in the year?
Yes, they can. That was very easy to answer. So the thing that we would use to find out the best level, or one of the things alongside a chat with maybe Joe or maybe Becky or one of our team who will help you find the best level, a level placement checks, and those enables us to just see where your child is up to in terms of their learning, and to give you confidence in knowing what the best level is. Because sometimes if you're coming out mid-year, it could go either way. Did they struggle in school, or did they feel that they were ahead and had already covered material? And these are things that would be covered in an admissions call. But essentially, although you can start at any point in the year, what we offer is a full year of program for each subject. And so we'd be encouraging you to, really embrace that whole year's worth of material. You may find that there are just some gaps that you need to fill, and it's possible to work through at a greater pace. For example, we have a number of students who do the study in a shorter period of time. If they're just going through a subject perhaps to fill gaps, they're refreshing their memory on some of the work and submitting the assignments because they're not finding them too difficult at a much faster pace. And that's again something you can talk to admissions about on your student progress manager, and we can set up an assignment schedule that works for you in those situations.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Charlotte. Moving on to our next question then, and I think this one would be a really good one to cover for some of our older primary students who are maybe moving on to secondary in the near future, or a kind of an advanced educational level anyway. Joe, I was wondering if you might take the lead on this one. Can my child take some courses in primary and some in secondary?
Yeah, thank you, Josh. Absolutely. So we would look at level placement checks and seek to understand more about your child's continuity of education, make sure that everything's covered, and then they can take different levels. So this is quite common at Wolsey Hall. We have students perhaps who are really strong in maths, perhaps their English is not their first language, and so they are working at a lower level of English compared with their level of maths. So absolutely no problem at all.
Wonderful, thanks. Anything to add, Charlotte? Do you think Joe's covered everything there?
Yeah, no, we're very flexible.
Yeah.
And actually, that's one of the things that people come to us for, apart from an excellent education, obviously, but is that level of flexibility which you struggle to find anywhere else.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, both. I've just noticed we've had a question come through kind of about our communities and our online meetups, Charlotte, and I was wondering whether you might be able to provide some clarification in case there is any confusion amongst people attending this event. The question is, they wanted to check if they'd heard correctly that there would be social activities / meetups within their local area. Could you just expand a little bit more on how our online meetups work and how the community provides that social aspect for our students?
Of course. So the online meetups are online. And they mostly happen like once a month. But there are other forums that enable you to meet up with people in your locality if you want to. We don't host those and we don't organise those. What we do have are social platforms that enable you to reach out to other parents. So for example, we have a Facebook group that is for parents of students at Wolsey Hall, and that is a well-used tool for parents to reach out to other people in their area, and we do find that people then create their own little network within the country. We also are happy to put you in touch with another family that is in your area. That's something you need to ask for, because obviously we, before passing out any details, will be in touch with that other family to check that they are happy for that as well. And but if you would like that, we are more than happy to set that up, and then we would be providing you with a contact detail of another family. You can tell us what's important to you. Maybe that it's close to where you live, or it may be that it's important that it's in the same country as you and the same age as your child, and we will look for somebody that fits that description. What we find with those sort of pairings is quite often making contact with one other family snowballs and end up with a sort of mini network in your locality, because they'll know somebody else too, and maybe they'll have done the same thing, and that's why they're on our radar, is because we already did that for them when they joined, and now they're happy to do it for somebody else that's joining. So yeah, there are opportunities for that. There's a limited amount that, as a remote learning platform, that we can organize ourselves, but we do try and provide as many opportunities as we can.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I'm just getting a little bit conscious of time, so I think we'll wrap up the Q&A session there. Thank you everyone for your questions, and as a reminder, any we didn't get to, we will be personally reaching out to you to follow up. We will also be sending out an email with the recording, and in this email there'll be a link to a feedback form, which we'd be really grateful if you could complete. This helps us to keep developing the quality and content of our webinars. Moving on to the next steps, there are a number of options available to you, depending on your unique circumstances. If, after this session, you're feeling ready to go and have decided we're the school for your child, you can start the enrolment process today. Head on over to the admissions enrolment section of the contact page and click the big Enroll Now button. That will take you through a few primary questions to assess whether we feel one of our team will need to speak to you about your enrolment. Be sure to have all of your child's details to hand ready to complete the process. If you have some specific questions, your child has additional needs, or you want to talk things through and get some advice on your scenario, please complete our admissions inquiry form. This will give our team all the information they need to assist you best. You will then be asked to book a call with one of our team to go through everything and see how they can help. We might also recommend some online level placement checks or checklists to help you decide on the most appropriate level of study for your child in each of their chosen subjects. And finally, if you're still not sure and just want some additional information, you can speak to our learning advisors. You can call them or use our live chat to message them directly. I'd just like to thank you all again for giving up part of your day to join us for this session. We know how valuable your time is and appreciate what a big decision this is for your family. We firmly believe our pupil-led approach to learning offers the best online educational experience for students, and I hope you can agree our unrivaled flexibility allows them to truly learn without limits. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.